One of the most important trends facing security professionals today is mobility in consumerized devices. And it really, at this point, it's impossible, even if you wanted to avoid using mobile devices within the enterprise. Plus, it's coupled with real business demand and drivers for business value for using those mobile devices. And the constant challenge of kind of meshing those devices into the enterprise environments that we run today provides a full range of challenges for security. So the most important thing that security professionals need to do to address the issue of mobile devices is firstly just to admit that they can't say no anymore, and to start realizing that they should start fostering the adoption of devices. And secondly, when they do that, is not to look for perfection. There is no perfect solution to secure mobility today. So rather than address individual issues as they come in, for example, a human resource person wants to access payroll data on an iPad, and then the next day it's sales information from an Android mobile phone. If you address those one by one, sometimes you're saying no, sometimes you're saying yes, you seem to be very conflicted and confused. In reality, we need to get back to basics. We need to look at the actual fundamental controls around the data and whether they can be offered on those mobile platforms. So then you're answering from a kind of a measured bar. Are you high enough to ride the ride? Can you get access to that data from the mobile environment that you have with the controls that are present? You see, if you plan for that and see this as a journey, you'll have a much more consistent experience communicating with business owners who are trying to get business value out of the data.
Some of the biggest challenges I see today in managing the risk of mobile security ultimately comes down to the data. Many practitioners today attempt to manage the devices. To me, the fundamental question is managing the data of the enterprise and appropriately protecting it. There are several ways to meet the challenges of securing the data. I think one of the most promising is virtualization, so the data is never left resident on the mobile devices. There's other key technologies coming online, such as HTML5, helping in the actual presentation, to actually creating secure frameworks and environments to build new mobile applications on top of, where the encryption is built in at the foundation.
I think the potential for mobile applications and mobile platforms in general within the use of companies and agencies have an incredible focus around agility. And if that's the one word I can use, I think I'll stick on that topic, because the availability of moving where the work is done, allowing businesses to do work when they need to have the work done, where it has to be done, and getting out of the context of these brick and mortar structures where their workforces have to be, is really what mobility is all about. It's also about time to market. It's about the ability to go from time of thought to innovation to delivery, and being able to have multiple platforms and options to do that in. So whether it's a client service representative, or it's a back office workflow process management application that allows a manager to actually approve it on the fly when they're not in an office, it helps things get done faster. And I think we have to focus on the fact that it's going to be a net new way of using data, and it will allow the businesses to be more agile. I think it's absolutely imperative that security professionals have significant competencies in anything that they protect. Mobile is a net new wave. It is a new technology from whatever perspective you're looking at it. They're not generalized enterprise controls. They're going to be working specifically for a device. I mean, we're talking about application level development management. We're talking about new technologies to manage smaller platforms and new computing technologies. And in order to provide that protective landscape in all areas of security, risk, and privacy, or whatever the responsibilities are, they're going to have a very solid foundation of knowledge, both at a technical level and an operations level, as well as how we use those in general business form. So it is a new skill set, and people are going to have to really dig in and start to get their resources framed around the components that they're going to be responsible for.
I think the next challenge is in terms of how the technology vendors are responding to this emerging risk, and that in itself creates a risk in terms of technology evolution, and therefore people, most of the technology vendors having a roadmap in terms of how they will give a robust and complete comprehensive solution to address the security and controls that needs to be implemented on mobile devices. And so we would be in a transition phase in terms of managing these controls in the meantime, especially if you are adopting use of mobile devices for your corporate access in a big way. I think the third challenge really is in terms of you're making really convenient for rogue employees to exfiltrate data. And I think what was a little difficult and challenging for somebody to carry a laptop or even have a laptop to actually go and give it to your competition and actually have those customer information exfiltrated to the competition. Now what's going to happen is that it's going to be more convenient because they are going to be personal devices, and if you are empowering your corporate and your employees to have that information for them to do business and do cross-selling and various, there's going to be a customer data available for employees to consume for the corporate use. But at the same time, the rogue employees could actually exploit that situation and therefore take that information and extend it to your and give it to your competition, and that will create a big risk for you, which is very difficult to control, because it is something which is very easy. So I think these are some of the examples of emerging risks that I see in terms of use of mobile and mobile devices, consumerization when it comes to employees. In terms of how one could react and one could respond to these risks, I think it's clearly a challenge for security professionals to respond to this change, which is obviously clearly enabling the business and productivity. But at the same time, how is security world responding to it? And one of the things that one could look at is in terms of a containerization approach, which is really trying to create two different profiles of how an employee would actually use the device while connecting to corporate infrastructure versus trying to work for his personal usage. And what I mean by that is trying to partition the device and create a pseudo firewall in between the two compartments within the same device. So wherein if you're logging on to your corporate world, you have full access to all the applications and use of and consumption and storage of the data. But it cannot be extended and it cannot be really downloaded to your personal device for you to actually intentionally or unintentionally expose it to unauthorized use or tampering or changes. So I think that approach is evolving. I think 30% to 40% of the organizations are looking at that as a strategy towards addressing their solution for the risks that are posed by use of consumer devices. And it also gives you an advantage of empowering the employees to really use the devices with all the features and facilities and services available for the personal use. So it really works both ways. I think the other thing is in terms of how you restrict and control the use of your applications on the mobile devices. What I mean by that is in terms of not really going it full bang, but really have a cautious and guarded approach towards opening of applications. And what I mean by that is you could focus on productivity apps, but those apps which are not high on confidentiality integrity, so that you can empower your staff to really use those productivity apps to improve the turnaround time and decision-making process within the organization. But at the same time, do not expose core applications, transaction processing applications having privacy or confidentiality requirements to be really something which is exposed. So an example of that could be you could look at approval system, which is used by a lot of your C executives and your managers and senior management to really improve the pace in which decisions are made. But at the same time, it does not really expose too much of customer data, so it will significantly improve the turnaround time. Similarly, email access, which does not really have too much of confidential data or transaction data, but something which helps people to really receive fast information and therefore take decisions. So some of these examples are good examples of empowering and enabling enterprise apps to consumer devices used by your employees, but at the same time something which will not expose your organization to those risks. So I think these are a couple of examples by which you could address the risk to a large extent. And I guess because it's emerging, one should engage with the various stakeholders and communities to make sure that you implement the right technology and the right process to address the risk. Yeah, so I think the question on mobility and use of mobility in the context of India, I would say that there are two aspects. One is in terms of employee use, and other is in terms of consumer usage. Now, I think the consumer part is really split into two. One is reaching out to every single person with a mobile device, and a lot of mobile devices in India are not smartphone devices. So therefore the protocols such as USSD and simple to use protocols are actually will gain prominence for social inclusion, and actually it's seen more as a channel to have financial inclusion within the country, where you have a huge penetration of mobile devices as compared to bank accounts being given to the employees, so given to the normal citizen of the country. So I think that's something which is significant, and different whether it's government initiatives or banks or various other telcos are leveraging this penetration of mobile devices to ensure that we reach out to those underprivileged and unbankable citizens in terms of getting them access, and mobile money is a reality. So these products are now available in the country. I think the second thing is in terms of how do you leverage and how do you have m-commerce being leveraged by virtue of the fact that we have 3G, 4G networks now coming up, and the middle income group being able to have access to mobile devices, and that I think area is now opening up. I think it's not in pace with what's happening in the Western world, but it's certainly something which is growing very fast. And so banks like us have most of our product offerings that we give on online is also available on mobile devices now, and so that is going to be the channel of future, and we are leveraging it and seeing it that way to improve the growth within the same commerce.